The billionaire hired a retired teacher for her wheelchair daughter, but Doctor was shocked because the sun was setting over Manhattan, casting long shadows across the glass and steel skyscrapers. On the 78th floor of one of these colossi, Olivia Blackwood watched the city below, her green eyes reflecting not the brightness of the lights that were beginning to flicker in the metropolis, but a deep, unrelenting pain. Lady Blackwood. His assistant's voice broke the oppressive silence of the office. The council is waiting. Olivia closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. With a barely audible sigh, she turned away, her face a mask of determination forged by years of struggle in the corporate world. Tell them I'll be there in a minute, Janet. Alone again, Olivia allowed the facade to crumble for a brief moment. His hands shook slightly as he picked up the picture frame on the polished mahogany table. The radiant smile of Sophia, her 12-year-old daughter, looked back at her, a smile frozen in time, from before the accident. "Oh, my love," Olivia whispered, her fingers tracing the outline of her daughter's face in the photograph. "I promise I'll fix this. I'll fix everything." The sound of footsteps in the hallway brought her back to reality. Quickly composing herself, Olivia put the photo away and headed to the meeting room. Each step echoed like a war drum in his ears. Upon entering, silence fell over the room like a pall. 12 pairs of eyes turned to her, some with barely concealed pity, others with a calculating coldness that made her stomach turn. "Ladies and gentlemen of the council," Olivia began, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her chest. "We are here to discuss the future of Blackwood Industries." One of the directors, a middle-aged man with graying hair, cleared his throat. "Olivia, we understand your personal situation, but shareholders are concerned. Last quarter's numbers." "Numbers," Olivia interrupted him, feeling a surge of anger rise in her throat. "Don't tell the whole story, Robert. This company, which my father built from scratch, which I turned into a global empire, isn't just about profits and losses." She paused, struggling to maintain control. Sophia's face flashed in his mind, pale, still in a hospital bed. "My daughter." Her voice trailed off for a moment, and she saw a few council members shift uncomfortably in their seats. "My daughter needs me now more than ever. And yes, it has affected my performance. But I promise you, I will find a solution. For Sophia and for this company." The silence that followed was heavy, filled with unspoken doubts and reluctant sympathy. Olivia could feel her empire slipping through her fingers, just as her daughter's life had changed in the blink of an eye that fateful night. As debate raged around her, Olivia found herself torn between two worlds on the brink of collapse. On the one hand, the business empire that she had dedicated her life to building. On the other, the uncertain future of her daughter, now confined to a wheelchair and in desperate need of her mother. In that moment, under the council's relentless gaze, Olivia Blackwood made a silent promise. She would find a way to save both, her daughter and her legacy, no matter the cost. Little did she know that this decision would lead her down a path of secrets, betrayal and a revelation that would shake the foundations of everything she believed to be true. The echo of the board meeting still rang in Olivia's ears as she drove through the dark streets of New York. The rain beat against the windshield, reflecting the turmoil in his heart. She gripped the steering wheel so hard her knuckles turned white, fighting back the tears that threatened to fall. Arriving home, an imposing mansion in the city's wealthy suburbs, Olivia was greeted by a deafening silence. He climbed the stairs, his steps heavy, toward Sophia's room. He stopped at the door, watching his sleeping daughter. The soft light from the lamp illuminated Sophia's pale face, highlighting the tubes and monitors that surrounded her. Olivia felt her heart break once again. "I'll fix this, my love," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I promise." The next morning, determined to find a solution, Olivia began her frantic search. Calls to specialists, appointments with the best doctors, nothing seemed enough. It was then that, browsing an obscure internet forum, she found a message that would change everything. Retired teacher provides expert tutoring for children with special needs. Amazing results. Intrigued and desperate, Olivia arranged a meeting. Hours later, she found herself in front of a modest house on the outskirts of the city. A middle-aged woman with gray hair and kind eyes opened the door. "Lady Blackwood." The voice was soft but firm. "I'm Margaret Thompson." Olivia felt a mixture of hope and skepticism. "Mrs. Thompson, I don't really know why I'm here, but my daughter." Margaret interrupted gently. "Come in, please. Let's talk." Sitting in the simple living room, Olivia poured out her story, the words coming out in a torrent of pent-up emotion. Margaret listened silently, her eyes never leaving Olivia's face. "I understand your pain," Margaret said finally. "But I must warn you, my methods are unconventional." Olivia leaned forward, a spark of hope igniting in her chest. "What methods?" Margaret hesitated, an enigmatic look crossing her face. Let's just say I have a unique approach to awakening hidden potential. But there are risks. Risks. Olivia felt a shiver run down her spine. Yes, Margaret replied, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. And once we start, there's no going back. Your daughter may change in ways you can't imagine. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with unspoken possibilities and dangers. Olivia felt like she was on a precipice, knowing that her next decision could change everything. Olivia began, her voice shaking slightly. I'll do anything for Sophia. Margaret's eyes sparkled with an intensity that Olivia couldn't decipher. Then we will begin tomorrow. But remember, Mistress Blackwood, some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. As Olivia left Margaret's house, a mixture of hope and apprehension consumed her. She didn't know it, but she had just taken the first step on a journey that would test the limits of her love, her ethics and her sanity. Sophia's fate, and perhaps much more, now hung in the balance, and Olivia could only pray that she had made the right choice. Morning came with a thick fog, as if the universe itself was trying to hide the secrets that were about to unfold. Olivia, her heart heavy with anxiety and hope, opened the mansion door for Margaret. Good morning, Mrs. Thompson, Olivia greeted, her voice betraying a slight tremor. Margaret entered, her eyes sweeping the luxurious surroundings with a piercing gaze. Where's Sophia? In her room upstairs, Olivia replied, leading Margaret up the stairs. As they entered the room, Sophia looked up from her book, curiosity and apprehension mixed in her gaze. Mom? Who is she? Olivia knelt beside Sophia's wheelchair, holding her hand. Honey, this is Mrs. Thompson. She's going to help you. Margaret stepped closer, her eyes fixed on Sophia with an intensity that made Olivia shudder involuntarily. Hello, Sophia, Margaret said softly. I'm here to work together. Are you ready for an adventure? Sophia looked at her mother, then back at Margaret, hesitant. What kind of adventure? Margaret smiled, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. One that will take you to places you never imagined. The following weeks were a roller coaster of emotions. Olivia watched, torn between hope and fear, as Margaret worked with Sophia. The methods were, in fact, unconventional. Strange meditations, exercises that felt more like rituals than therapy, and long sessions where Margaret spoke in whispers to Sophia, words that Olivia couldn't decipher. One night, about a month after starting treatment, Olivia woke up with a scream. He ran to Sophia's room, his heart hammering in his chest. Sophia. What happened? She gasped, turning on the light. Sophia was sitting on the bed, her eyes wide, fixed on a point in the air. Mom. I saw things. Olivia walked over, hugging her daughter. What things, honey? Colors, shapes, things that shouldn't be there, Sophia whispered, her voice shaking. And I felt my legs, Mom. For a second, I felt them. Shock ran through Olivia like an electric current. She didn't know whether to feel elated or terrified. The next morning, Olivia confronted Margaret. What exactly are you doing with my daughter? She demanded, her voice a mix of gratitude and accusation. Margaret looked at her calmly. I said there would be changes, Lady Blackwood. Sophia is awakening to possibilities beyond common understanding. But at what cost? Olivia pressed, feeling a knot form in her stomach. Margaret smiled, that enigmatic smile that now made Olivia shiver. The true cost is yet to come. But don't worry, Sophia is stronger than you know. That night, as Olivia watched Sophia sleep, she noticed something that made her freeze. A faint glow emanated from her daughter's skin, barely noticeable but undeniably present. His phone vibrated. It was a message from an unknown number. The transformation has begun. There is no turning back now. Olivia felt the world spin around her. What had she unleashed? And more importantly, would he be able to protect Sophia from the consequences of her desperate decision? As the night wore on, shadows seemed to dance on the walls of the room, and Olivia couldn't help but feel like they were on the brink of something vast and terrible. The price of hope, she was beginning to realize, could be higher than she had ever imagined. Dr. Anderson's office was bathed in cold, sterile light as Olivia pushed Sophia's wheelchair inside. Olivia's heart was beating wildly, a mixture of hope and fear pulsing through her veins. If you like stories like this, subscribe to the channel. There will always be new videos, and you won't want to miss any of the excitement. Good morning, Sophia, Mrs. Blackwood, Dr. Anderson greeted, his professional smile barely hiding the curiosity in his eyes. Let's see how things go today, shall we? As the doctor began the routine exams, Olivia couldn't take her eyes off Sophia. The subtle glow she had noticed on her daughter's skin seemed more intense under the fluorescent lights. Doctor, Sophia said suddenly, her voice strangely calm, I can feel something different. Doctor. Anderson stopped, his pen suspended above his clipboard. Different how, Sophia? Like, tingling. In my legs. Sophia responded, her eyes shining with an intensity that made Olivia shudder. The doctor frowned, moving quickly to examine Sophia's legs. His fingers barely touched the girl's skin when he jerked back abruptly, as if he had been shocked. My God, he murmured, his eyes wide with astonishment. What it was? Olivia asked, her voice shaking with anxiety. What is happening? Doctor. Anderson turned to her, his face a mask of confusion and disbelief. Ms. Blackwood, that's impossible. Sophia's neurological readings are completely off the charts. And there's electrical activity in her legs that I've never seen before. Olivia felt the world spin around her. Does that mean she can walk? It's not that simple, the doctor replied, running a hand through his gray hair. It's like her nervous system is reconfiguring itself. I've never seen anything like it. At that moment, Sophia let out a small moan. Olivia quickly turned to her daughter, only to see Sophia's eyes roll back and her body begin to shake violently. Sophia. Olivia screamed, panic taking over her. Doctor. Anderson rushed to raise the alarm, yelling for help as he tried to stabilize Sophia. Nurses rushed into the room, moving in a frenzied dance around the convulsing girl. Amidst the chaos, Olivia saw something that made her freeze in terror. For a brief moment, Sophia's body seemed to become translucent, a bluish glow pulsing through her skin. What did you do? Doctor. Anderson's voice cut through Olivia's haze of shock. He stared at her, his eyes a mix of accusation and fear. What experimental treatment is this? Olivia opened her mouth to respond, but the words caught in her throat. How could she explain? How could she admit that, in her desperation, she had resorted to something that not even she herself understood? As doctors struggled to stabilize Sophia, Olivia felt the weight of her choices come crashing down on her. The price of hope, she realized with growing horror, could be her daughter's own humanity. In that moment, as ambulance sirens echoed in the distance and the otherworldly glow emanated from Sophia's body, Olivia understood that she had crossed a line from which there was no return. Whatever Margaret Thompson had unleashed was beyond anyone's control now. And somewhere not far away, Margaret watched the events unfold, an enigmatic smile playing on her lips, knowing that the true transformation was just beginning. The hospital corridor echoed with the sound of hurried footsteps and tense voices. Olivia, sitting in a cold plastic chair, felt like she was trapped in a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. Her eyes, red and swollen from crying, stared at the closed door of Sophia's room. Lady Blackwood. Doctor. Anderson's voice brought her back to the cruel reality. We need to talk. Olivia stood up, her legs shaking. How is she? Can I see her? The doctor hesitated, his face a mask of professional concern. Sophia is stable for now, but there's something you need to see. He guided her to a dark room, full of monitors. With a click, images appeared on the screens, CT scans, MRIs, EEG readings. That, he pointed to a pulsing image, is Sophia's brain now. Olivia gasped. The image showed patterns of neural activity she had never seen before, vibrant colors dancing in impossible shapes. What does that mean? She whispered, fear tightening her chest. Doctor. Anderson stared at her, his eyes a mix of scientific fascination and ethical horror. Mrs. Blackwood, your daughter's brain is transforming in a way that defies everything we know about neurology. And that's not all. He hesitated. Your DNA is also changing. The words hit Olivia like a punch. She staggered, holding on to the wall to keep from falling. I demand to know what was done to Sophia, the doctor pressed, his voice now hard. It's not natural. It's not human. At this moment, a scream echoed through the corridor. Olivia recognized it immediately. It was Sophia. Running back to her room, Olivia found a scene of chaos. Nurses struggled to restrain Sophia, who struggled on the bed, her eyes glowing with an unearthly blue light. Mother! Sophia screamed, her voice a mix of fear and ecstasy. I can see everything. Olivia walked over, tears streaming down her face. Sophia, my love, what do you see? The universe, Mom, Sophia replied, her eyes fixed on something beyond the hospital walls. I can see the stars being born and dying. I can feel the pulse of reality itself. At that moment, the devices in the room began to fail, lights flickering and alarms sounding. Sophia's body began to levitate a few inches above the bed, a field of bluish energy surrounding her. My God, Dr. Anderson muttered, stepping back in shock. Olivia, driven by a motherly love that overcame fear, stepped forward, hugging Sophia. I'm here, baby. I'm here with you. The moment she touched her daughter, Olivia felt a current of energy course through her body. Visions of distant galaxies, parallel dimensions, and realities beyond human understanding flooded his mind. Lady Blackwood. Doctor. Anderson's voice sounded distant. Get away from her. It's dangerous. But Olivia couldn't move. He didn't want to move. For the first time, she was truly connected with her daughter, sharing the vastness of what Sophia was experiencing. Suddenly, the bedroom door opened violently. Margaret Thompson entered, her eyes glowing the same unearthly blue as Sophia's. It's time, Margaret announced, her voice resonating with an ancient power. The transformation is complete. Now we must protect her. Olivia, still hugging Sophia, looked at Margaret with a mixture of gratitude and terror. Protect her from what? Margaret smiled, a smile that held the wisdom of ages. Of the world that will try to fear her, to study her, to control her. Sophia is no longer just your daughter, Olivia. She is the next step in human evolution. As sirens wailed in the distance and excited voices echoed through the halls, Olivia understood that this was just the beginning of a journey that would change not only their lives, but potentially the destiny of humanity. The hospital room, now bathed in blue light, became the epicenter of a cosmic revolution, and Olivia was at the center of it all, clutching her transformed daughter, ready to face the unknown. The chaos in the hospital gave way to a surreal silence. Olivia, Sophia and Margaret were now in an unknown location, a kind of hidden sanctuary in the mountains. The air vibrated with a strange energy, and the sunlight seemed more intense, more alive. Sophia, now able to stand, stared out the window with eyes that reflected distant galaxies. Olivia couldn't take her eyes off her daughter, amazed and terrified by the transformation. What happens now? Olivia asked, her voice shaking slightly. Margaret approached, her face serious. Now, Olivia, we face the consequences of our choices. The world outside is in uproar. They want answers, they want Sophia. As if to confirm Margaret's words, the distant sound of helicopters echoed across the valley. Sophia turned around, her eyes shining with knowledge beyond human comprehension. They're afraid, Mom. Fear of the unknown, of what they can't control. Olivia felt her heart sink. But you're just a girl, my girl. Not anymore, Margaret intervened softly. Sophia is now a portal between worlds, a bridge between what we are and what we can become. At this moment, the ground shook. Outside, the sky suddenly darkened, clouds forming in impossible patterns. They're coming, Sophia announced, her voice strangely calm. Military, scientists, world leaders, all wanting a piece of what they don't understand. Olivia felt panic rise in her chest. We have to protect her. We have to escape. Margaret placed a hand on Olivia's shoulder. There's nowhere to run, Olivia. This is the moment of truth. Sophia approached her mother, touching her face gently. Olivia gasped as she felt the energy pulsing through her daughter's touch. Mother, Sophia spoke, her voice echoing with the knowledge of the ages. You brought me here out of love. Now, I need you to trust me. Tears streamed down Olivia's face. I trust, my love. But I'm so afraid of losing you. Sophia smiled, a smile that contained the wisdom of the universe. You'll never lose me. We're part of something bigger now. The sound of helicopters grew closer. Searchlights swept the area around the shrine. Margaret positioned herself at the door. It's time. Sophia, are you ready? Sophia nodded, a bluish aura beginning to surround her. I am. It's time to show the world that there is nothing to fear in evolution. Olivia, feeling a courage she didn't know she possessed, held her daughter's hand. I'm with you, Sophia. Always. The sanctuary doors opened. Sophia walked forward, Olivia at her side, Margaret close behind. The world outside stopped, amazed and terrified by what it saw. Sophia raised her hands, and the sky opened. Visions of other worlds, other realities, poured onto Earth. It was the beginning of a new era. Olivia, looking at her daughter now transformed into something beyond human comprehension, understood that this was not an end, but a beginning. A beginning full of danger, wonder and infinite possibilities. As the world watched, mouth agape, Sophia began to speak, her voice resonating not just in the ears, but in the minds and hearts of everyone. Do not fear the unknown. Embrace it. For it is at the boundary between what we are and what we can become that we find our true humanity. And so, under a sky that revealed the secrets of the cosmos, Olivia Blackwood, the billionaire who risked everything for love, held the hand of her daughter, no longer just Sophia, but a beacon of hope and transformation for all humanity. The future was uncertain, full of unimaginable challenges, but for the first time in a long time, Olivia felt a deep peace. Whatever path lay ahead, she would face it alongside Sophia, ready to embrace the extraordinary destiny that awaited them. If you like stories like this, subscribe to the channel. There will always be new videos, and you won't want to miss any of the excitement.